Pierre.
Hi, Belinda.
Okay, so the purpose of today's conversation is to capture the last 4 years and the learnings that we've had, and it will be a good reference tool for the leaders and team members who have been a part of this journey, and then also a reference for new leaders and new team members who are on board going forward. Pierre, many of us know that your family owns a vineyard in France. And so with that background, with that experience in your life, I know you've compared running a vineyard with leading a team. Tell us how that works or how you see that correlation.
So for me, of course, I've been in the vineyard since I was born. Yeah, so you're right, Belinda. These vineyards have been in our family, I think, since 1850. So from generation to generation, we have been taking care of these vineyards. It's in France, in the Beaujolais region, actually. And that's something very strong for me. I have some memories of actually in all seasons and noises, smells, when we, particularly right after harvest, when the grapes are fermenting, and then when we press this, you have flavors all over the country. That's really nice. But then the point is, every year for us it's a new year, and it's not because we have done a good wine 1 year that the next year will be also a good wine, because you cannot predict nature. The only way we have to make sure that we do our best for our vineyards, and the only thing that we can do, the soil, we have it, the weather, it's like it is. So we do our best, and our role is to create the best environment for our grapes, actually, to grow the best way, and then when the grapes are before pressing, to make sure that when we press them, the wine becomes what we expect it to become. So it's about creating the environment. And for us, I think as leaders, it's the same. I cannot force anyone to do something. I can in the surface, but deeply, when someone is not convinced, actually he will follow by force, he will not follow by himself. And that's not good, because the results will not be sustainable. So it's the same for the wine. Actually, we need to make sure that we cut the vines at the right time in the year, that we put sometimes some chemicals to protect against the diseases, and that also we harvest the grapes at the right time. Everything is based on small choices that we have to do almost every day to make sure that we make the right decision at the right time, depending on all the things that are happening around. And so this analogy with the vineyards is very strong for me in my way to lead people.
Yeah. When you talk about that, I think about the time you've taken to make sure the environment's been right for us, and at each point in time, reassessing and seeing if we're going in the right direction. But the patience that we've had in the last 4 years to get to where we've been, not trying to do it all at the same time, but taking things as it's right, as the time is right. Yeah. So in 2015, when you joined us in Hagerstown, what were your priorities?
So my first priority was to share our leadership principles.
Leadership principles, they're the four.
The 4 ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Starting with dialogue of truth.
Dialogue of truth, you're right.
What does that mean?
So that's about communication, how we work together. We need to make sure that our bases are healthy, are clear. So everything starts with how we are able to listen to each other with respect, with empathy, and also with a lot of humility. And then, once we have listened, we can speak. And speak again with respect, based on facts, and to progress, not just to empty the problems that we have here, but then put our problems on the shoulders of our co-worker. So the image that we can use is like if you want to fill a glass, if the glass is already full, then all the liquid that you will put into the glass will be outside. Then listening is helping to empty the glass, and then the glass will be ready to be filled with what we have to share together.
So Pierre, you share that analogy, but what comes to mind, of course, with principle one is the pebble in my shoe. Tell us what that means.
So the pebble in our shoe has become now a very popular word, and the image is connected with the small pebbles that we have here in our shoes, and we have that many times when we walk, and we know that we can keep it, we can still walk with that. But the best thing to do is to stop, empty the shoe, and then we are able to run or walk like before. In our daily relationship, we have the same type of issue. We have small pebbles, things that, some small frustrations, some small reproaches, that usually we don't dare to share with our colleagues because it's not big, it's, the consequence is not that severe. But with the time, all this actually don't solve by itself. And sometimes it's even more infection. And this creates a gap between me and my colleagues. And if I don't decide for the biggest issues to share with my colleague, then this will create some division instead of helping us to work better together.
Yeah, I love that as a baseline. Basically, if we want to work together, we need to eliminate our pebbles, get rid of those issues, and then move forward. So going on to number two, we have another analogy, the hammer and the nail. Tell us what that number two principle is.
So it connects with the second principle, which is principle of decision. And each of us need to know our responsibilities and also make sure that we have all the resources to assume our responsibilities. So the image, the nail is the responsibility that we have. And the hammer is the decision power, the resources. And of course, nobody feels comfortable if it's when I hold the nail and someone else hold the hammer. This image is obvious. Unfortunately, in our daily life, we do this all the time. I, as a plant manager, sometimes make decisions that I should not make. It should be done by one of my direct reports, or even an employee directly could make the decision. And it's almost 100% sure that the decision will be better than if I make the decision, because I will not be the one who will support the consequences of the decision.
Yeah, right. Okay, so on to number three, the customer. Serving the customer?
Yeah, so serving the customer, that's two very important notions in these three words, actually. The customer is the reason why we are working here. Without any customer, my job is meaningless and all what we are doing is useless. So, of course, the customer is the end result, is our target, our purpose. But serving is also about the motivation. If I'm here to serve someone, it's a much stronger motivation than if I'm here just to get my salary. And we have seen in the past a lot of people able to do great things just to serve, and sometimes not even expecting some benefits from this service. This is connected then to, do I know my customer? Do I know his expectations? And then I should make sure that I will be able to deliver exactly according to his expectations, and not something that I try to guess or something that I try to imagine. That's not the best way to do.
Speaking of service, principle number 4, what you expect in leadership.
And that's a key point. That's the last of our principles, but of course, as leaders, we need to walk the talk, and this servant leadership is, for me, a key concept, a key idea. If we are here to serve our team, if we are here to grow our team, of course, the results will follow. And usually when I talk with some people, and when I ask them, how many good bosses have you had in your career? Well, most of the time, after reflection, it's usually around 30%. And when I ask them, why do you say that this boss has been a great leader? All the time, at the end, what you can see is that this guy helped me to do things that I thought I was not able to do. I learned with him. I've been able to be successful with some challenges. So I've been able to grow. So usually when I'm talking with a leader, I say, oh, okay, so just be this kind of leader.
So principle 4, grow the team.
Yeah, grow the team.
Okay.
That's the key point.
Yeah. Good. So you introduced the leadership principles to us as your staff, your first year here. How did you cascade to the rest of the leadership?
So with the staff, we spent 2 full days together, and it was really necessary. I think particularly the dialogue of truth that we have shared, it was a very good start. I think some in the team were wondering how it would happen, sharing this so deeply, and finally everybody saw the benefits of that. So that was the first step with the team. And then in 2016, 1 year later, we considered that as a team we were mature enough to share that with the next level, the first level managers. And what was very strong is actually, instead of using the external help like for us, all the management team led some sessions with the managers. And that was very strong because as leaders, we have to walk the talk. And by actually teaching, we all know that it's also a perfect way to integrate that into ourselves. And that was in 2016. And then 2017, we felt that all the management was finally mature enough to share that with the next level, which was all the engineers, the technicians, the VTCs, the team leaders. And I think it has been very powerful. More than 150 people we have been able to share that with 150 people. The sessions were led by the managers. So if you remember, we train the trainers. And in this sense, I felt very happy with that because instead of feeling a bit alone, as I was in the beginning, or with the 14 people in the management team, then we were with 70 people on board. And that was very strong. Hagerstown is a big plant, and of course we cannot influence the plant with only 1 or 10 individuals.
Just baseline information, sharing the same terms, that hammer in the nail or pebble in the shoe, knowing what we're talking about when we point that out.
And if you remember, what was really interesting is that each time everybody was coming to the session saying, what are they going to share? The agenda was not that clear, and it was looking like very simple ideas. So how can we spend a full day on that for the managers? And at the end of the sessions, everybody was very happy, having a kind of relief that, yes, I've been able to share the concern with my colleagues, with my manager. And also, immediately, the question was, okay, but when do we share with the next level?
Yes. And speaking of next level, we're going to talk later about how those principles even apply to every one of us in the organization at all levels.
Yeah.
But before we do that, let's talk about the target image. That was so significant that we started that in 2016 to align the entire organization, our good to great target image. Why did we do that?
So that was the next step after these principles. And of course, once we know where we want to be, we have to share it with the whole plant. And this target image process is a very powerful process. 7 steps, starting with first the management alignment, and then little by little going to kind of diagnosis, action plan, and then sharing with the whole plant. So this target image, we started, as you say, in 2016. It was very obvious when I started that we needed to perform better. At this time, 2016, a lot of money has been invested in the plant. We had the new layout of the engine line with this event flow project. And then we have started also the new axle business. But the results, it was a lot of money invested in the plant, and the results were not that good compared to the money invested. So we needed to get the trust from our management. And of course, how can we get the trust? It's by the results. So that was very important for us to improve the level of our results. And then in our sessions, what we have realized is actually how to get these results. Yes, we can use many tools, but the first thing where we need to make sure that everything is aligned is people. And that's where we said we will be successful only if we have 12 or 1,400 people on board. So that was the start of our target image. And then it was also about how can we be, today we are good. That was what we are doing is okay, but is it enough to be okay in the current world where the competition is worldwide? We will not be in business in 10 or 15 or 20 years if today we are just okay.
We need to be great.
Exactly, we need to be great, and that's the point. That was the short version of our target image.
So our target image, it had 3 cornerstones that we focused on. Introduce those cornerstones to us. Tell us about that.
So then I take my story back. The first cornerstone is being empowered. Everybody has to act as empowered individual.
Everybody carries the torch.
Exactly. That was the summary of this one cornerstone, carrying the torch. Why is it that important? Today we are in a world that is very complex. We have this VUCA acronym, volatile, uncertain, complex. So that's something that is a given. And today no one can pretend having everything under control. And in our plant it's even more valid because it's a big plant. So actually the only solution for that, the only way to be successful is to have 1,400 business owners, 1,400 people leading their business, acting as if it was their own business. So that's the point. And to feel empowered, 2 things are necessary. The first one is to have the right organization. And the second one is to have the right principles. And then we are back to our leadership principles that we have shared from the beginning.
Yeah. And speaking about organization, we're going to talk about that a little bit later and how we organized in our way of working. But let's go first to the second cornerstone being optimized.
So being optimized is getting the results that actually we have the potential.
I was going to say performing to our potential, our full potential.
That was my first idea when I started here. I saw this plant has a huge potential, enormous. And but because of a lot of some small waste everywhere, actually we don't deliver according to our potential. So the question was, how can we optimize our results?
And they're speaking for themselves right now. The results are showing, some are record-breaking, some are best ever. Maybe we'll talk a little bit more about that later.
Yep.
So the third cornerstone, reliable. We want to be the team everyone can count on. And we're seeing signs of that. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so for me that's the consequence. If Hagerstown is considered as a plant that is trustable, then we want to give more business because we know that they will be able to deliver according to the expectations. So, and what has been interesting is that we started this journey in 2016, and we see that we have gone by loops. And as you say, we have already improved greatly our results. And last year, 2019, we have had a lot of good news actually for the plant, and particularly this big investment in the machining department for the EMT gears and shafts. It's a lot of money invested. It's the first time that Volvo is investing for a new business in machining in Hagerstown for decades. So that's really important to realize that by behaving in a more responsible way, we have got better results, and these results have shown the group that we deserve something more. And now we are ready for the second loop, or it's a second loop. But I think that what I feel today is that everybody is energized and everybody has understood that, yeah, when I change, it's difficult at the beginning because acting as someone empowered, this means that I need to have initiatives by myself, not just follow the directions. I need to be more autonomous. And then it's a risk that I can take because what will happen if I fail? That's always the question that everybody has in mind. And that's where the trust is so important.
No need for fear.
No.
Right.
If I'm afraid, then I waste my energy. So the energy should be fully dedicated to my job and making progress. So, and that's, I have the feeling that now we have passed some steps. I think we can still improve, but many people have realized that this positive spiral brings us to the top, and that's where we need to be.
Yeah. So instead of being afraid of those mistakes, we appreciate those mistakes because they're learning opportunities for us to grow, and we need those. So,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly. In the VPS reference, we know that there's what's the way we take a problem. Is it a burden or is it an opportunity to progress? And that's exactly what you say. Instead of being afraid of our mistakes, just learn from our mistakes in order to make less mistakes and finally work better.
Our target image has been a 3-year journey, and we've taken it in 6-month increments. I want to talk about those. We started with stability. We had to get stabilized.
Yeah, so that was the focus for the first year. And as you say, this status every 6 months helps to keep aligned and keep everybody understand why we have some initiatives. And of course, as I was saying at the beginning, we were good. But good is an average. And we were able for the best, but sometimes not for that good. And we lose a lot of energy and resources by going up and down like this. So that was the reason why the first year stability was so much the focus. And we see that after a year, we still had some fluctuations, but with much less discrepancy between the top and the bottom.
Yeah, as you point out, after the first 6 months, we decided we needed to continue the focus on stability.
Yeah.
But then we got into structure. We felt as though the stability had come into place, and we were ready to get a structure in place. Tell us what that meant to you.
So the point with structure is you can improve only something that is stable. If it's not stable, you cannot gather the right data, and you never know if what you have done has really brought some improvement. So what we saw the second year is that we needed to repair some broken processes. And we were more stable, but we could see that we were wasting perhaps 30% of our energy trying to find workaround because the main process was not working, and we were finding a way to make it work, but slower or with more energy. And of course, it's a source of a lot of frustrations. So that has been the focus in 2018, is focus, of course, on the biggest losses, the worst processes. And I think that's what we have done pretty well.
We certainly did. And then when I think of structure, I think of our way of working. And one piece of structure in our organization is the goal-oriented team way of working, or the GO team way of working. When you arrived, we had self-managed teams. We call them GO teams, but we've really developed in that. And that goes into the, I guess, the most current focus area of the target image, and that's collaboration. So structure and collaboration, that goes with GO team. Talk about GO teams and your expectations there.
So as you say, so this year, 2019, the focus is on collaboration. And the idea about that is that, well, if I'm alone, I go quick. But our priority today is not to go quick, is to go far. So alone, I go quick, but together we go further. And that's the point. So that's what everybody needs to realize. And I would say the 3 years journey has been, we have focused on individuals, and then it was more by department. improve my processes, but now it's obvious that we need to go to how we collaborate between departments, between different levels. So, and it's the collaboration. So, back to what you were saying, go teams. Yes, these goal-oriented teams are for me the basic cell of the plant. That's the core. And when I speak with the Go team leaders, my first, when they ask me, what do you mean by Go team? And for me, I say, very simple. Take your team as if it was your own business and lead it as you do at home. That's the most simple way to consider the Go team way of working. And so what is finally nice from the company is that these Go team leaders, in the past, perhaps they were more focused on the volumes. And today, it's their business. So it's not only the volume, it's the quality, it's the safety, it's the lead time, deliver on time, and it's many things. It's environment, and for them, at the beginning, I realized it's a bit overwhelming. And that's the feedback from most of them.
So our goal-oriented teams are the core, and there is a specific way that you expect a Go team to work in order to be successful. So let's talk about what do you see in the life of a Go team over a week's time or a day in the life of a Go team? What might they be going through, or how do you expect them to work?
So as I was saying, what is really important is to improve our results every day. So there's it's pure common sense, but there are 5 steps that we need to follow all the time with any problem. First is collect the data and make sure that we have collected everything in order to understand the situation. Then prioritize, because everything is not as important as the rest. Once I've prioritized, once I've chosen the worst problems, then I need to find the root cause. And not something that I guess, it's something that I very rigorously define as the root cause of the problem. Once I have the root cause, then I can create an action plan to address the root cause. And the last step is check that the action plan is giving the expected results. And the Go team life is constantly this loop again and again and again in productivity problems, efficiency problems, quality problems, reliability problems. All the time, we have to follow the same logic.
Okay. What tools does the Go team have in order to do that?
So the tools, again, we have the VPS tools, but and that's often at the beginning of the process when a Go team is starting the journey towards the certification. Most of the time, the feedback that I get from the Go team leader is, Pierre, you don't realize, you don't know our work, and you don't realize how much work it is. It's impossible to do. And I would say, I'm a bit provocative, but all the time I say it's on purpose. If you were able to do everything, then we would miss one purpose of the Go team way of working, which is to involve the whole team. And of course, the engineers or the technicians, the one who have some technical knowledge. But more than this, we need to involve all the workers. They need to have the right level of information, and they need, in the data collection, for example, they are the ones who stay at the station 8 hours per shift. So they know each and every minute what's the noise that they hear, how often the part is failing, how often they have to restart the machine. And if we don't involve them, most probably we'll not have the right picture, the right diagnosis. And then, in the way we look for the root cause, most of the time they have a lot to bring. So they have to be involved in the problem-solving process. They have also to be involved in the way we run the shift or the team. We started to have some safety facilitators. We know that we have some 5S facilitators, some people working for environmental topics, some quality topics, some efficiency topics, and it's so powerful. And now I have the most advanced Go team leaders come to me and say, Pierre, forget the discussion that we had 12 months ago. It's not me anymore, because I've understood that if I share my problems with my whole team, actually I get much more. And it's not my result, it's not me leading, it's actually the whole team job. And we get so much better results than if it's only one individual. Even the strongest leader will never be able to reach as good results as if it's a team effort.
Yeah, it takes me back to your statement of alone we go faster, but together we go farther.
Yeah.
So the data collection, we understand the importance of that, and we're doing so much better at collecting our data and stratifying it and getting the right data, if you will, and basing our decisions on that. But oftentimes it's the documentation part that we struggle with, completing that EWO or that RNC or that quick Kaizen or standard Kaizen. Tell us the importance of documentation and why we need to do it.
Mm-hmm. So documenting helps to make sure that we follow step by step the methodology. Mm-hmm. And so often we try to guess what's the root cause. I would not say that it's all the time wrong, and perhaps in 50% of the cases it works. But we are not here to be successful 50% of the time. Each time that we attack a problem, it should be solved forever, and we should have no reoccurrence of the problem. So by following the process, it gives us more chances to make sure that we get to the root cause, and then that we will implement the right initiatives, the right activities to solve the root cause. But again, we should not make things more complicated than what they are. And it could be a bit scary to have these pages where I don't know, I don't understand all the words, or I understand the word, but what does it mean in this tool? Sometimes it's not easy. So my push is all the time, start with very basic things, and then go by yourself. Don't use a computer, trust yourself, trust your common sense, but please understand the steps in order to make sure that at the end, we will never have this problem again.
Yeah, it truly makes us more proactive versus reactive. I know we hear that a lot, but to point that out, that we're not just responding to something, but thinking about it and the process it takes in order to get the sustainable result, if you will.
Yeah. And of course, the reactive way helps us to start. But if we keep being reactive, then we lose a lot of our energy, because every day we'll have to fight against the same fire, or every week, and that's not what we want. One time is okay, 10 times I think everybody would be totally tired to have the same problem happening all the time.
Okay. So you shared that the Go team, the mindset is to operate as if you're owners, that it is their own business, if you will. So explain that to us. So
my own business means at the beginning, I think it's overwhelming, because all of us, we are used to manage what we have at home. But when we come in the company, it seems to be much more complex. But everybody has to realize that actually we can have everything in our hands to solve our daily problems, and also make sure that tomorrow we perform better than today. And that's what is very important, is this Go team concept. It's not only about the Go team leader or his production team, operators and VTCs. It's also about all the support functions that are working with the Go team leader, dedicated to the Go team. And this is really important, because the Go team leader is not alone in this journey. Of course, it would be too heavy. And globally, we see much more dedication from everybody to reach the results. And I think it's also much more motivating to have this autonomy to manage one area.
Yeah, I recognize that today, compared to the past, supervisors, managers, they have their own resources, a cross-functional team, and don't have to reach out to other organizations in order to get what they need.
Yeah, because when you have an organization by silo, actually you have always to negotiate when you are alone in production, to negotiate with maintenance or with logistic or with quality. Can you give me some resources to help me to solve my problems? And if it's not decided in advance who will support, then sometimes you have to wait because there are some higher priorities, which is not good because each business is important in the plant.
Yeah. So you have the Go team leader, you have the value team within the Go team, you have the value team captain, and then all of the different functions. How do you assess whether or not a Go team is working in the way that you expect it to work? How do you measure its success?
So, of course, first we have the official KPIs. And that's a very good way to assess if it works. We have this certification process that we have put in place to make sure that the Go teams were operated according to the expectation. But I would say from more informally, I have 4 indicators that I use. A team that works well has first good safety, then good quality, then low absenteeism, because everybody feel engaged, and sometimes where the weather is nice, perhaps I could prefer to take the opportunity to go and fish, but no, I have a team, they rely on me, so I will be here. And the last is the number of quick Kaizen that are made by the team members. And for me, it's if people feel comfortable to make some suggestions, this means that they have understood how we work and how to improve the way we work. And that's very powerful. And for me, that makes the team, it's a positive spiral actually, because instead of waiting everything from an engineer or a manager, no, we have all the team members who are little by little improving the way of working.
Yeah, and they're working in the areas, they're the experts, and to be able to have the empowerment to be able to take the lead and make things happen, do things within their control to make their work and environment better.
Oh yeah, and it's so powerful. And when I see such suggestions, most of the time I'm 100% sure that that's the right thing to do, and I'm pretty sure that actually the improvement will remain. Yeah. I've seen so many times in the past very nice actually improvements, but designed by an engineer, and if you come back a month later, actually the nice improvement is somewhere on the side, not used anymore because actually it was a bit too complex or not corresponding to the exact need.
It makes sense. If you're involved in something, you take ownership of it, and it's important to keep it.
Yeah, and I'm always amazed by what I see coming from the operators. We have this Operational Excellence Award ceremony every month with the 3 people that we select every month. It's so, I'm so happy to see that when we go to the shop floor to see and what is shown by the operators themselves, how they improve their station. And most of the time it's so simple and it works. That's for me the best way to improve the stations every day.
Okay, so you point out the Quick Kaizen tool. That's one important tool within our VPS methodology and structure. What are some of the other tools that the Go team can count on or utilizes in order to improve?
So we have our famous VPS toolbox.
Yes.
It's a lot of tools, and I think we were talking about the journey that we have been able to make during the last 3 years. One major progress that we have made is instead of using the VPS tools as a second agenda. Today we use VPS to reach our targets. So it's no more painful, it's no more burden for the people to use that. And on the contrary, now they are used to come, I have this problem, how can I solve it? And then we find all the time a tool, and then we implement it and we get the result. And it's so powerful.
So VPS is just a way of working. It's every day.
Exactly.
Yeah. Very good. I want to talk a little bit more about the Go team structure and way of working and how we've emphasized it or maybe stressed the importance of it to our team members, the value team members. We started a Go team exercise in the last year or two, and we took that opportunity to talk about Go team way of working, as well as going ahead and introducing the principles, and we call them working principles now. We apply those first 3 principles to our employees and share the working principles. Tell us what that, how important that was and what that did for our organization.
So here, Belinda, you are touching a very, very important point, actually, because last year, 2018, we have been able to close the loop between the Go team way of working and the leadership or working principles. And that has been a key step forward. The Go team way of working is, I think it's based on common sense, but we needed to illustrate very concretely with all the employees what we mean by the Go team way of working. Because now it's so common in our language, Go team way of working. Yeah, but what does it mean? And that's where, when we have been able to have this Go team exercise, so it has been a big investment for all of us. The whole plant has been able to go through this exercise. And it has been a very powerful tool because, as an introduction, I've shared this working principles, and that's what is written now in this small card. And of course, leadership is not what we ask to the workers, but then all the 3 other principles are perfectly adapted to anyone in the plant. Dialogue of truth, empowerment, and serve the customer. That's valid for everyone. And that's the base. And we started with this pebble exercise for each team. And I think it has been, sometimes it has lasted more than what we were planning, but it was very important. And we have created this list of pebbles where each manager, after that, after the exercise, left. And I know all the managers that worked on this list, not everything, but on the priorities. And it was really important. The second thing about this exercise, very powerful, is that we needed some facilitators. And of course, it was the support functions, the support people who were facilitating. And they have heard about the daily life, but from the workers' mouth and not from theory. So it has been an eye-opener, I think, for many people.
Yeah, when I think about the pebbles, I think anyone in this organization today, you can walk through the plant and somebody could walk up to you or me and say, I've got a pebble, and we know what they mean, and we listen.
Yeah, and it's very powerful because it's a nice introduction to say, I have something that is going wrong, and I would like to talk with you. And it's so much easier than to say, hey, Belinda, I'm not happy with you. Then the doors are closed very quickly. If you say, and I know that some people already many times came into my office and say, Pierre, I have a pebble. Okay, let's talk, take a seat. And then I think it's a relief for everybody to know that at least for the biggest issues, there's a way to talk about that and try to find a solution.
Yeah, I think the pebble exercise was most impactful with the Go team exercise that we conducted. Maybe we should point out, so the Go team exercise, it gave us different scenarios, real life scenarios in this plant where each team member was asked, what would you do in this case? So it wasn't always, okay, you're the operator or the machinist or the worker or the material handler, and what would you do? But no, put yourself in the role of a Go team leader. This is the scenario, how would you handle it? And I don't know that it was ever not obvious what the right answer was, but when do we always follow the right way of working? So yeah, so it was fun.
Yeah, and I think that's the way most of the people have taken this exercise. It was the same than the sessions with the management. When they came, they were saying, well, we are not kids, we don't want to play, we are here to work. And they realized after 3 hours that actually it was not a game, but it was a concrete illustration of what is our daily life. And actually there are several ways to address the issues that we have. And a way that helps to progress, or a way that just keeps the war going.
So Pierre, when we talk about Go teams, I want to talk about two other topics. One in particular, connections and the importance of connections in a Go team.
So the connection is what makes the difference in the relationship between the Go team leader and the support functions. And it's very interesting because when it's something that is in writing. And for example, let's talk about maintenance. Go team leader is going to talk with the maintenance manager, and they are going to share what are the common expectations for each of them to perform the best way what they have to do. And so they have to make very clear, what do I expect, and with numbers. And then how will I do that? How will I reach this target? So that's something that is really important. It creates a different relationship between the Go team leader and the support functions. The merit of such an initiative is that usually you don't guess anymore what the other one is expecting from you. You talk, and sometimes could be a bit conflictual at the beginning because you are not ready to do that. It could be some more work. You think that it's more work, but at the end, if you understand why it's requested, you will do it most probably with goodwill, much better than if you think that why. So it's a nice way to talk. Between each other and make a commitment actually between the support function and the production people.
Here's something you just said was talk. So we don't send an email, we don't send a text, but it's truly having some dialogue, give and take. What I need from you, Pierre, and what do you expect from me, and having that alignment. And as you said, sometimes it can conflict, but if we don't understand the expectations, we may be going in different directions, wasting a lot of time for sure.
And talking to each other is the most powerful way. Sometimes we are used to escalate. I have things a bit difficult to say to my colleague, but I will prefer my boss to tell it to his boss. And we think that it helps. Yeah, probably short term it's a bit easier, but mid-term we don't improve the relationship, or perhaps we even deteriorate it. So we need to be a bit brave. That's not easy to go to our colleague and to say, I expect that from you, and to have to explain. We need to think, why do I want that? Is it because it's nice to have, or is it because then it will help me to perform better? And if I'm able to explain that, it will be very powerful.
And as you said, we're owners and we're trying to do things on our own. And if we looked back to what Martin Lundstedt introduced to us, the circle, the cross, and the triangle, that many things can be done within our own teams or within our control. We don't need anyone else. But then on the other hand, with the cross, we need to go cross-functional. But finally, there are instances where we have to follow the triangle, go up the pyramid maybe for solutions.
And of course, the management, what I mean here is not that the management could just check out. The management is here to support or to help to prepare a discussion or to clarify some expectation. So of course the leaders have a key role to facilitate that. But again, they have to walk the talk.
Okay. Another topic, the second topic I wanted to make sure we address, visual management, the importance of that. Explain.
Visual management is something that most of the time we don't perform that well. And particularly today we have some easy tools like PowerPoint. Everybody thinks that once I've made a PowerPoint, I'm done. No. And that's where I have a lot of discussions with the Go teams. They need, if they want everybody in the team to be able to contribute to the improvement of the team, they need to share the information. And of course, the information has to be shared in a simple way, in an attractive way. So that's, again, with all the softwares that we have, like Excel, or we think that I have made a nice graph, so it's good, it's nice. Yeah, it looks good, but is anyone in the team able to understand what I've put in my Excel file or in my chart? Or not all the time. And I prefer something a bit dirty, but handwritten, and that everybody is able to understand, and that everybody is able to update every hour or every shift. That's something very nice that you update only once a week, and that is understood by, I don't know, only the VTCs or the ME, or it's very very important to have these visual things. And visualization is also a great way to share the concern and make everybody understand why we should focus on one particular topic. On a graph, when you see a peak for something, ooh, why do I have this peak? And everybody understands that we have to work on that. If we never share that visually, even just speaking a pike doesn't look like a pike if I only speak, but if I see it, it's obvious. So that's the visual part of the communication is really key. It helps to share the information. It helps to get the buy-in from everyone. And it helps also, even for me, to realize that something is going wrong in my area. And then we are back to, as a leader, most of the time we think that a leader should have the truth, should know everything, should be very strong. And actually, a leader is a human being like anyone. So it's more about being transparent, and it's also sharing the weaknesses. And when I don't know, I should not say that I know, because then it will give an opportunity for someone else to bring his own part. And I don't think that what is expected from a leader is to know everything. The leader is here to connect everybody, to support, and there's a clear role, and there's no need to do more than that. It's just enough for me.
Pierre, if I were to encapsulate everything that we discussed today and reflect on your leadership style and what you expect of us as leaders, it would be to have humility, empathy, trust, consistency, but also not to mention patience.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you have any closing thoughts or reflections, or do you want to encapsulate it in some way, what you share with us here during this conversation?
I think you are pretty good to make this conclusion. For me, it's all about people. And if we want an organization to perform well, it starts with people, happy in their job, knowing what they have to do, knowing what is expected from them, taking their responsibilities, being supported by their management. That's a really key point. And if the leaders are here to serve their team, and starting with me, we often use this reverse pyramid image. I am the one who is supposed to serve the whole plant, actually. And I'm here to make everybody successful. So if everybody takes his role like this, I think that's the perfect recipe for success. Of course, we'll never be perfect, and that's what I hear from time to time. Pierre, what you say is nice, but it will never happen because it's too perfect. Yes, that's exactly true. And starting with myself, I do wrong probably every day and probably several times per day. But if we don't have a very high expectation, we know that actually we never reach the expectation. But then if our expectations are not high enough, then the results will be really low. So I think I prefer to be very ambitious on this in this area, and then to reach, I think, at the end, decent results.
Message delivered. Thank you, Pierre.
Thank you, Belinda, for this nice discussion.